So, speaking of things that got cut, and also you mentioned non-disclosure agreements before, and when we sent you this question, I was like, this will be the one he says he can't answer. But you didn't say not to take it off, so here it is. Rogue One, if you're a film buff, and all three of us are, you know that Rogue One became notorious for having widely publicized reshoots. People talk about how the vision of the original cut was changed. Things like that. You watch the first trailer for the film, there's a handful of sequences that nothing even close to that ended up being in the film. Yeah. As one of the writers, can you offer insight into anything else that was going to be different, and how do you feel about the final cut?
I'll answer it in reverse. First of all, I feel great about the final cut.
Okay, cool.
I really liked the movie, and that was a huge relief because, you know, once you stop writing on one of these, you know, the security wall goes up, and I had no idea what it was really going to look like until I sat down at the premiere. So weirdly, it was like watching a movie that I had written on and watching a new movie at the same time, because I knew there was going to be all this kind of new footage. And it is one of the great joys of screenwriters to be able to bitch and moan about what's been done to their work. But I didn't have that satisfaction because I really liked it.
That's really cool.
I remember sitting next to Gary Whitta, first writer on it, and we were just kind of high-fiving at various moments when cool things happened, especially when there were surprises. So I have no complaints about that. I think the other part of the question was like, what can I give any insight into what was changed? A lot of the stuff that's on the net about the net. Do only 80-year-old people say that?
No, it's fine. We say the net. We say
the net. The information superhighway. A lot of stuff that's on the web is actually correct in terms of things that were changed, things that were added. Let me see. If you imagine the beginning of the second act and the end of the second act kind of swapping places, that would not be an inaccurate way to portray how structurally it was changed. The Darth Vader kicking ass, I cannot take credit for. That was a later invention. And so that was quite different. I think the battle stayed much the same. Sometimes when I see things that were changed, it seems as though they were changed in ways I can't quite put my finger on in terms of why. Yeah. So a lot of the deaths were put into different locations than they originally were in the script, originally were shot. I'm not sure exactly why. For instance, K2 died in a different place in the previous version. Let me see. Well, it all kind of turns into a bit of a mush because I remember at some point cutting a planet, but that was still during my period. It was like, guys, we've got to cut 20 million, so one of these planets has got to go. And you go, oh shit, that's going to be hard. Let me see. I'll tell you something that was quite different, right? And I don't think I'm talking out of school to say this. In the last version that I worked on, it wasn't clear at the beginning of the movie that the Death Star was going to be the Death Star. There was just this sense that the rebellion had that something bad was going down, and we needed to find out about it. So there was this kind of developing sense of dread throughout the film. And in the version on screens, you basically have a guy say, there's a planet killer. They're making a thing that's going to blow up planets. It's called the Death Star or something like that, very early on. And I can understand that definitely somebody at some point said, why are we making like such a big mystery of something that the audience already knows anyway? And that is certainly an argument. But I was pushing originally for something that had more of a sense of dramatic irony. But that's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And like I said, I think the movie really works.
Yeah, man.